In this video, I'm going to explain how to control access to API resources based on user roles with WSO2 API Manager. For that, we will be using scopes. But why do we need to restrict access to API resources? Today, the world organizations are moving toward API-driven business models where it exposes many of its business capabilities as forms of APIs to both internal and external parties of the business. But most organizations cannot expose all the services to the public. They need to restrict access to some APIs or resources to authorized parties only. Now let's see the behavior of scopes used in an example of a real-world use case. Let's think there is an API called Glory Shopping Cart to handle the operations of a supermarket. This API can be used to add items, view items, and create orders. For this use case, I am using two users with two different roles. Mike is the manager of the supermarket and Sarah is a customer of this supermarket. I have already created the above two users in WSO2 API Management Console representing their roles. Let me show you. Let's go to the Management Console. I have created two roles called Manager and Customer. Here I have created user Mike and I have assigned manager role to him, and I have created Sarah user and I have assigned customer role to her. Now let's go to the publisher portal. I have already created Glory Shopping Cart API without any restricted resources. Now let's see how we can restrict access to API resources. For that, first let's create scopes. I'm going into scopes menu of the API. Now let's create scopes. The following details need to be filled when adding a scope. First, you have to give a name to your scope. This is a unique key for identifying the scope. Scope name shouldn't contain the spaces. Here I'm adding it as add underscore items. Then you have to give a description about your scope. In the role field, you have to give the roles. You have to type the correct role and then press enter. Here I'm adding the manager role. You can add multiple roles to single scopes too. Let's save. Now let's create another scope as add orders. Let's give a description. And assign roles. Here I'm adding manager role and customer role. Now save it. Now we have two scopes. Then let's see how we can restrict access to API resources using those scopes. Let's go to the resources menu. I'm going to assign add underscore items scope to post items resource. So here we can select scope and add underscore orders scope to post orders resource. Now let's save it. Now API is ready. Now let's go to the dev portal. Now let's create an application to subscribe to this API. Let's generate production keys for this application. Let's keep the consumer key and consumer secret. Okay, now I'm going to subscribe to the Glory Shopping Cart API. I'm choosing PCMart application and subscribe. Let's generate tokens for Sarah and Mike. Here I'm using the password grant type to obtain tokens. When generating an access token, API consumers have to mention the scopes very clearly. In other words, requesting scopes is a part of the token generation logic. Now let's generate a token for Sarah, who is a customer. This is the basic format of the token request. I'm going to edit this request for Sarah user. So here I'm going to add the scope. So we have to add underscore orders. And then you have to add the consumer key here and secret. Now let's execute this request. This is the response. As you can see here, the token response has the requested add orders scope. One thing to note is that this scope was written after a role validation. Let me show you one more example. Now I am going to add another scope to here. Let's add underscore items here. Um, as this is a customer user, she doesn't have that add items scope. So let's see what will happen. See, as you can see, the newly requested add underscore items scope is not in the token response. That was because the user does not have the required role. Now let's generate a token for Mike. Mike is the manager, so let's generate a token for him. So I'm going to keep this token. Now let's generate a token for Mike, who is the manager. Mike can do both add items and add orders. So let's generate a token for Mike with both scopes. So here I'm going to change the username and my password is same. So here we have to give the scope. So this should be space separated. Now let's execute this command. As you can see, this token response contains both add items and add orders because my user has both scopes. Now let's keep this access token. Now let's invoke the APIs. First, Sarah is trying to create an order. She has the access to the resources and API should returns 200. Let's try. So this is this is the request. So I'm going to use the Sarah access token to here. Let's execute this command. As you can see, we are getting 403. That means it is forbidden. So API is not allow Sarah to invoke and add items to the supermarket. Now let's try to add items to supermarket from my user. I'm using Mike's token. And let's execute this. We are expecting 200 response code for this request. Let's see what will happen. So we are getting 200 as we expected. Now let's try to create an order from my user. Let's execute this. We are expecting 200 for this call as well. Yes, we are getting 200 for this call as well. That's all for the today's video. Thank you for watching. Let's meet again from another video. Goodbye.